Hello everybody, my name is Nicole and I am here to share with you guys my story, my experience of my time here in China, 中国. I really hope that this segment is as informative as it could possibly be for anybody that's looking to move to China. I've been here now for the past 6 years. Actually, I'm coming on to my 6th year now, which means I've been here since 2015. It wasn't the plan. Everything just kind of panned out the way it is now. So just to give you a brief introduction about myself, my name is Nicole, as I mentioned. I majored in psychology, so I've always been interested in, one day pursuing a career where I was able to work with people. Sitting in front of the office, in front of the computer, never really appealed to me. So I took psychology on, it's a people subject, you're working with people, understanding human behavior, so on and so forth. So just to give you a quick background of what I've been doing during my time here in China, I haven't always been a teacher. I have had the lovely, amazing opportunity to explore career options that I wanted to explore. So I've worked obviously as an English teacher, and from then I went on to study Mandarin at one of the local universities here in Shanghai. I've worked in orthodontic sales, B2C sales for a dental company here in Shanghai, and I went on to working in Seo Marketing for one of the Mandarin schools here in Shanghai as well. And now I'm back doing teaching because you know what, it's been a journey, and I'm so grateful for the journey that I've had. I'm in my 20s and I've been able to explore all these career options, learn a whole new, completely different language, and I have found myself exactly where I feel I fit in and exactly where I want to be for the next coming God knows how many years that I have in my life. So I hope that this video will help those of you who may be worried that, if I teach English, is that all I'm going to be doing? No, there are many other things that you can actually explore. Actually, the possibilities are endless because opportunities are what you make of them. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video and my little story. So how did I first come about China as an idea? The first time I came to China was 2014, and it was via a university program that they had at the time, where students were able to choose 5 countries that they wanted to travel to. China was not on my list. Anyway, my application was accepted and I was told that I would be going to China in Chengdu for 2 weeks. So, for me, I was shocked. I was like, what? China? Really? Experience. So I landed in Chengdu and I was absolutely shocked at how different it was, in a good way. It was everything that I was not used to, so that was really exciting and very novel at the time. And what made an impression for me during my time in Chengdu was the amount of foreigners that were there from all over the world in China. And every time I asked every single one of them, what are you doing? They said teaching English. I was like, why is everybody teaching English in China? China is so far away from home, from everywhere. But you know what? That stuck with me. And obviously I really enjoyed my time there. So in my final year, I was looking for jobs. My mom was pestering me. What are you gonna do if you apply for jobs? And as a psychology major, psychology is so wide. You can go into many areas. I just did not know what I wanted to do. But what I knew at the time was that I wanted a people's job, a people-centered kind of job. And ding! Teaching English in China came into my mind. I was like, okay. I went online and I just typed in teach English in China, and of course TEIC came on. I looked at many other agencies, but to me this is the one that I felt comfortable with, and the reviews were absolutely amazing. And so I applied with teach English in China with Arnold, and honestly the best decision I ever made. Knowing other teachers that came in through via other agencies, I was very lucky that I had a positive experience with TEIC. So where was I sent for my first year? I was sent to a very small city called Tongling. So Tongling was a very, very quiet city. Not a lot was happening there. I can literally tell you, especially after visiting most of my friends who had placements in places like Shanghai, where I am now, and places like Suzhou, Beijing, and so on. So regardless of the fact that I was, alone, it turned out that it was everything that I'd actually needed. Getting away from everything in the UK, the stresses of my time during my undergrad study, it's just the peace and quiet that I needed. And I think I did my most of my growth or personal growth in that first year because I was able to focus on myself and plan ahead about what things that I wanted to do. So during my time in Tongling, I worked as a high school teacher. Amazing students, amazing experience, amazing school. I was given my own private gated accommodation, which was absolutely beautiful. And then I requested to be moved to Shanghai to another high school under the same company which I was working for in Tongling. They also had schools in other cities, and luckily they had one in Shanghai where I wanted to actually be transferred to. So they accepted my application and I was moved to Shanghai. It was a beautiful experience. I worked at that school for 1 year. So as a psychology student and interested in human development and all these things, I decided I would go into working as a kindergarten teacher for one of the private kindergartens in the city. I decided during my time as a kindergarten teacher that it's been so long, 3 years in teaching. It was absolutely amazing experience, but I wanted to explore what more I could do. So I decided to stop teaching, take a break from teaching. Of course, as I always am, I am not content. I always want to see what other things I could do, what other things I could learn. So I decided that, okay, first things first, I wanted to venture out and see what other jobs I could do outside of teaching. And I started applying for jobs, but I realized that here in China, to work in a corporate environment, you need to be able to speak Mandarin. Of course I spoke Mandarin, but it was very, very basic at the time. So I decided that, I would invest in my studies and I would go to one of the local universities to study a language course. I did that. I got in and I was able to obtain a visa that would allow me to stay and study. So I went on to study Mandarin while looking for a job outside of teaching. Outside of my little box, and I went out to networking events and job fairs and all these things. And I finally got a job working in orthodontic sales. They hired me purely because of that, my people skills. To be a salesperson, you need to be able to communicate, you need to be able to get on with people, those inter and interpersonal skills. So they hired me on those bases. I put myself out there. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna learn. They offered to teach me the ropes, and I learned. I grabbed those ropes and I got on and I did my job. And a couple months later, they hired me full-time. So that's how I was able to get my first initial job as a sales rep. I worked there probably for a year and a half until COVID hit. I was the only sales rep working at the time. I was in charge of English translation. The role that I landed was orthodontic sales rep. We were selling invisible aligners to both Chinese and expat customers. I was in charge of the expat side, which meant that I was helping introducing the product to the expats, taking them to the clinics for their dental appointments, and being in charge for the language translation. So English did help in the end. I was helping the expats that didn't know how to speak Chinese, translate, and I was the mediator during their appointments, and it was great. During my time working as the sales rep, I improved a lot on my Chinese communication skills, my people skills, and my network grew beyond just the previous teaching circle that I was in. I knew a lot of working professionals in different industries, and it was great. And then of course COVID hit. I was the only salesperson working at the time, and as I mentioned, I was working with a lot of expats, and we were working with a lot of clinics. Clinics closed, most expats, if not all, left China, and of course there was no job for me, so they had to let me go, sadly. It was a form of redirection for me, and thank goodness I had that experience that could take me on to the next step, which is then in SEO marketing. So of course during my time in sales, working along with the marketing team, that's something that intrigued me, because if you have good marketing, your traffic increases, or you have more people knowing your product and wanting to learn more about it from the salesperson. What SEO marketing was, but I was able to again use my experience in teaching, in sales, to prove why, to make a point as to why I would be suitable for that job. So obviously, being an English teacher, you're good at communication, and in marketing you need to be good at communication, right? So SEO marketing is basically search engine optimization, basically how a lot of companies or websites bring in traffic, as in people looking at their website. In essence, when you type in on Google whatever you're looking for, what companies try to do, they try to be at the top of the search engine page, because only the first probably 3 to 5 websites are the most clicked, and everything below that gets ignored by people that search. So my role was to help this company improve their SEO ranking on Google. Just all of that stuff, yeah, like things that I never thought I would do, and now I'm the one that's talking about SEO marketing as if like I'm an expert. So from being an English teacher to studying Mandarin to working in orthodontic sales to SEO marketing, all of that was great, and I did that in probably the space of another 3 years, and it was an amazing experience for me that I was able to have that opportunity. But of course, I'm not a content person. It was good, but I just missed teaching. I just missed being in the whole classroom environment, being in control of my classroom. So that's when I decided that, okay, I'm gonna go back into teaching. And it was during the pandemic, when things were really bad all over the world. Borders were closing, school teaching was moved on online. During that time, there was a huge demand for teachers, because a lot of teachers had left and a lot of schools needed teachers. So I was like, why not? Opportunities opened. If that wasn't telling of my whole situation and the direction which I needed to take, that is what I needed. So I started working in SEO marketing, and I went back into teaching again full time, which is what I'm doing. So I'm not only teaching now, I have a clear idea about where I want to go, and I want to stay in education. I want to learn more. I've been looking online, and I found amazing courses. One, of course, that most people would know is a PGCE. It's a great teaching qualification that will allow me to work in international schools worldwide. And of course, there's only so much I can include in this video. I don't know if I've included everything, but I definitely included some things, and I hope that encourages you guys to realize that if you come to China as an English teacher, you don't have to box yourself as an English teacher for the rest of your life. You can do a lot more using your teaching experience to venture out into other, career prospects or jobs or industries that you would like to explore. This has been my journey. This is where I am now. I hope that this video encourages you guys to take a leap, to take a step, and just go for it. Just do it. Of course, if you want to see more of my adventures and what I've been getting up to, or what I will get up to in the future, my Instagram will be linked below in this video. And yes, I wish you all the best with your application, and goodbye.